5 major lies Hollywood tells us about the American West. You know, it seems most people have a romanticized view of the American West. A lot of things believed as true just are not. So let's take a look at, I said 5, but 6 fallacies that people still believe today. We'll begin with number 6. Cowboys have a unique way of speaking, saying things like, "I got an itchy trigger finger," or "Get along, little doggy." Truth of the matter is, a lot of the words associated with cowboys came about by novelists and movie scriptwriters long after the days of the cowboys were gone. Today, we know a motherless calf was called a doggy, correct? That did not come about until 1903, and jails did not become the hooskow until around 1920, and the expressions bounty hunter, gunslinger, and itchy trigger finger were never used by cowboys. That's right, they were all invented in the fertile minds of the Hollywood writers and directors. Number 5. We who love old Western movies have had to have put into our minds images of settlers from the east traveling westward in the huge Conestoga wagons that were pulled by horses. In reality, if the settlers had to depend on the Conestoga wagons, they would never have made it to the west. The Conestoga wagons were too heavy, and horses were really way too weak for the long trip west pulling such a heavy wagon. Settlers used a smaller, nimbler wagon called the prairie schooner, and they pulled them with mules and sometimes with hardier breeds of horses. Number 4. Another falsehood that has been perpetuated by the Western movies is that the wagons traveled in a straight single-file line across the prairies and deserts. In reality, the trip across much of America was incredibly dusty, so when they could, the wagons fanned out into a forward lineup up to 10 miles wide so as to avoid dust from other wagons as well as avoiding the ruts left by earlier travelers. Number 3. According to the movies, the wagon trains were frequently attacked by Indians. Do you remember what the settlers did when this happened? They defended themselves by forming the wagons into a circle. And quite actually, if they had taken the time to do that, they would have ended up massacred. Filmmakers just like the way the circle looks on film. It would have been so time-consuming to do so that, as I mentioned, they would have been slaughtered long before the job was accomplished. Some wagon trains did circle when they stopped at night, but it wasn't for protection. It was because they needed a way to corral their animals. Number 2. Everyone knew that to be considered a good gunfighter in the American West, a man had to be strong enough to take a bullet in the shoulder or thigh and keep right on shooting. Again, in reality, most people who got shot did not get back up. You see, in the 19th century, bullets were much softer and much slower, and this can have the effect of making them much, much more deadly. And rather than shooting straight through the body and making a quick exit, they would bounce around like a pinball and exit, leaving a huge hole. And now, number 1. This is a big one, folks. We know that Wyatt Earp was Marshal of Dodge City, right? Hollywood history also teaches us that he helped tame the Wild West. Well, let's take a look at the truth behind this. Wyatt Earp was never the Marshal of Dodge City. Nope. He served twice as deputy marshal. Some believe the only reason he took the job was because it was beneficial to his gambling career. American Heritage magazine expressed it this way. Every professional gambler needed a star. The badge of the office permitted its wearer to carry a gun. Only peace officers were permitted to carry guns in Dodge City. Everyone else needed to check their weapons in racks provided for that use. It is well known that Earp was not even an honest card player, let alone a lawman. Well, that's a short but interesting look at some of the lies perpetuated by Hollywood about the American Wild West, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for stopping by, and have a blessed evening.